Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into the world of data analysis. We're going to talk about how people find these incredible hidden stories that are just buried in mountains and mountains of numbers.
You know, we live in a world that is just awash with information. Think about it. Every click you make, every time you buy something, every single day, we're creating this unbelievable amount of data. It's like this constant flood coming at us from every direction. Honestly, it can feel a little overwhelming, right? Kind of like trying to hear one person's whisper in a massive roaring stadium.
So that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do we find the wisdom inside all that data? How do you separate the signal from all that noise? Well, the answer, it lies in data analysis. And let me tell you, it's a skill that's become absolutely crucial for just making sense of the world we live in today.
Okay, so what is data analysis? Really? At its heart, it's all about being a detective. It's this systematic process, right? You inspect the data, you clean it up, you transform it, and you model it, all to find useful information that helps you make better decisions. You're basically taking raw data and putting it on the stand, interrogating it to get to the truth.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. The best way to think about this is like a journey, an analyst's journey, from a simple question all the way to a powerful insight.
So to make this real, let's imagine something. Let's say we're trying to answer a pretty common business question. Why are our bookstore sales declining? This is a perfect example. We've got a problem, right? Sales are down. We can't just guess why. We need to figure it out. And that question, that's our starting point. It's going to guide this whole journey. In that journey, it pretty much always follows these 5 key steps. First, you define the problem. Then, you collect the data. After that, you've got to clean it. Then comes the fun part, analyzing it. And finally, you have to interpret and communicate what you found. So, let's break these down one by one.
Okay, so that first step is absolutely crucial. A well-defined problem makes sure your analysis actually stays focused and relevant. I mean, why are sales declining is a decent starting point, but a great analyst will dig deeper. Are we talking about a certain genre of books? Is it a specific store location? Is it our online sales versus in-store? See, if you ask a vague question, you're going to get a vague answer. Focus is everything here.
All right, next up, collecting and cleaning the data. And there's a saying that is just the golden rule here. The quality of analysis can never exceed the quality of the underlying data. I mean, think about it. You could have the fanciest tools in the world, but if your data is a mess, full of errors, missing information, all sorts of inconsistencies, your results are going to be garbage. It's why cleaning the data, which can seriously take up most of your time, is so important. It's the foundation for everything that comes next.
Okay, now for the analysis itself. This is where the real detective work begins. We're not just running numbers for the sake of it. We're hunting for patterns and trying to form hypotheses. We'll use stats, we'll use charts and graphs, anything to start seeing what the data is telling us. So for our bookstore, maybe we noticed that sci-fi sales took a nosedive right after a big author's book got delayed. Boom, that's a pattern, that's a clue.
And finally, the journey ends by turning all those findings into something people can actually use. Actionable insights for the decision makers. Because look, an answer is worthless if nobody gets it. A great analyst has to translate all their charts and stats into a clear story. Something like, hey, our sci-fi sales dropped 15% because that big new book was delayed. Here's what we should do. Let's run a promotion on our older sci-fi titles to make up for it. That is an insight you can act on.
So now that we know the journey, let's get a little more specific. There are actually 4 main types of analysis, and each one helps us answer deeper and deeper questions. What I love about this is how it shows a clear progression. You start with descriptive analysis, which just answers what happened. Simple as that. Sales dropped 15% last quarter. Okay, facts. Then you get to diagnostic, which asks, why did it happen? Maybe a competitor launched a huge promotion. Ah, okay. Then you move into the future with predictive analysis. What will happen? You might forecast a 10% drop next quarter if things stay the same. And then the top of the ladder, prescriptive. What should we do? This is where you recommend something specific, like creating a loyalty program to keep customers. You see how it goes from looking back to actually shaping the future? Super powerful stuff.
Okay, so to climb that ladder we just talked about, an analyst needs a really good toolkit. And I'm not just talking about software and tools, it's also about the mindset and knowing what traps to avoid.
So what are the actual tools of the trade? Well, it's a pretty wide range. You've got your everyday spreadsheets like Excel or Google Sheets. Then there are programming languages like Python and R for the heavy lifting. You also have BI platforms, that's business intelligence like Tableau or Power BI for making amazing visualizations, and of course, languages like SQL to talk to databases, and statistical software like SPSS. It's a big toolbox.
But just having the tools isn't the whole story. You have to know how to avoid the common pitfalls. This is probably the biggest one of all, mixing up correlation and causation. They are not the same thing. Correlation just means two things happen at the same time. Causation means one thing directly causes the other. The classic example, ice cream sales and shark attacks. They both go up in the summer, so they're correlated. But eating ice cream doesn't cause shark attacks, right? The warm weather causes both. A good analyst never forgets that difference.
And that brings me to what might be the most powerful tool in the entire toolkit. And it's not a piece of software. It's this quote: "The most impactful analysts combine technical skill with genuine expertise in the domains they serve." This is domain knowledge. Think about it. You can't really analyze healthcare data if you don't know anything about medicine. The technical skills are table stakes, but having a deep understanding of the subject you're working on, that's what separates a good analyst from a truly great one. It's what turns you from a number cruncher into a real strategic partner.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. We've talked about the journey, the different types of analysis, the tools, and the traps. But so what? Why does this all matter? Well, the real-world impact of this stuff is absolutely huge. It's changing pretty much everything. I mean, look at where data analysis is in action. In business, it's optimizing operations and helping companies truly understand their customers. In healthcare, it's helping diagnose diseases and figure out which treatments actually work. Governments are using it to decide how to spend money and create better policies. And in science, well, it's basically the engine driving new discoveries and expanding what we know as a species. It's everywhere. So, here's the bottom line. Data analysis isn't just some technical skill for a handful of people anymore. It's becoming a fundamental literacy for the modern age, right up there with reading and writing. It's the bridge that takes us from just having tons of information to actually having understanding. It's really a new way of seeing and interacting with the world. Because in the end, that's what it's all about. The data has a story to tell. Every single data set is just packed with stories waiting for someone to find them. The numbers hold clues about our health, our companies, our entire world. So the only real question left is, are you ready to listen?